Alright folks, please do not ship your unit like this. You definitely need more packing than what is in this box. Because look at this. I mean, the unit actually looks okay, but these are air pockets and they're totally flat. I don't think one pillow in this box is actually doing anything. And then of course it has a remote. So let's go ahead and take a look at this unit and see what is going on with this thing. I believe it's a ZV427. Nope, this one is a ZV450MW8. Well, as previously stated, this is a ZV450MW8A. It looks like a ZV457. It even has the analog or maybe digital tuner inputs. And it does show it has a standard definition TV tuner, an ATSC tuner, but from all outward appearances, it looks like a ZV457. And there's a note. Let's take a look at the note. And the note says, Steve, the enclosed VCR DVD recorder is one that I visited with you on Messenger back in March and then again in June. So if you want to contact me, use Gmail. That's the best way to reach me. I'm finally getting it in the mail to you. As explained earlier, the VCR grabs the tape and shuts down before I can do much of anything. Since I wasn't able to get the VCR to play, I wasn't able to check the DVD recorder. My hope is that I can use the unit to record some of our old VCR tapes to DVD and then possible use a program I have to digitize the DVD so I could put it on thumb drive or ... Or just to use the VCR as a source media player to send digitized signals via a converter of some kind to my computer so I can use it to share old tapes with my kids, friends, grandkids via thumb drives or YouTube or ... I do have an operating VCR here at the house that I've tried to use a converter to digitize but have been totally disappointed with the end result. When I play the VCR tapes, they are surprisingly clear, but after conversion, the digitized version is noticeably worse. Hopefully this unit is worth fixing. If not, feel free to be brutally honest. Thanks for your efforts in advance, Mike from Perkins, Oklahoma. And then down below, he made a little handwritten note. I thought this was the remote, but I'm questioning my thought since there is no brand name on it. Mike. Okay, Mike, let's go ahead and get this unit open and see what it looks like inside. Okay, have the unit powered up, and as you can see, the DVD recorder is definitely different than the 457, 427 versions. It has a much smaller board. Now, the 427, 457s go all the way to the back panel, and they have an HDMI port coming out right back here. This one does not have an HDMI port. So this is probably a year or two newer than the 427 or 457 versions. This does look like it has the same digital ATSC tuner as the 457. Remember, the 427s don't have this tuner. So let's go ahead and pop a tape into it. I've got the unit powered up. The fan is running back here. Might be hard to see, but it is running. Let's pop a tape into it. And as a tape, I really don't care about if it eats it. It's okay. So what should happen is the tape should go in and sit down. The cylinder should start to spin and then it should load the tape. If anything different happens, well, it's an indication the mode select switch does not know where the mechanism is. So let's go ahead and give it a try. Nope. Once again, that is a classic indication that the mode select switch doesn't know where the mechanism is. Because as you saw, it loaded the tape down and immediately tried to load the tape without even starting the cylinder. So what should happen is it should load the tape down, then it should stop for just a few milliseconds, then it should start the cylinder and load the tape around the cylinder, and that did not happen. So I'm going to very gingerly try to get the tape out of here. And I'll go ahead and open the door and try to rewind the tape. We'll try it one more time. Pay particular attention. The tape goes in and immediately it loads. It should stop. Like that. So it did stop and it did load. So that tells me the mode select switch is oxidized, but it's not playing. And this tape has the record tab knocked out of it, so it should start playing immediately, and it shut down. Another classic indication that the mode select switch is oxidized. So what do you want to bet? I'm going to power this up and it's going to eat the tape again because it doesn't know where it is. So I powered it up and it shut down fully loaded because once again, it has no clue where it is. Power on. Oh, look at that. It actually unloaded the tape and ejected it without eating. Now, if you have one of these units and you're having this problem, if you just exercise the mode select switch multiple times, it actually is going to clean the contacts just by scuffing them up against the contacts in the mode select switch. Let's try it one more time and see what happens. It's actually still trying to load, and then it's going to shut down. So I felt tension on the loading motor over here. It's trying to load past the endpoint of loading. So once again, power on. And then it shut down again. Power on one more time. It does not know where it is. It will not give the tape back at this point. There it goes. Well, let's go ahead and tear this thing completely apart, clean the mode select switch, and see if we get better results. I think we're going to. Okay, so here's the mechanism out of the chassis. So we'll flip this thing over. Then we'll look for the two same screws that we always do. The one machine thread over here on this side, and then underneath this ribbon cable, we'll look for the plastic thread screw right there. So we'll pop this one out real quick. And the machine thread over here. There we go. And the cat is going to help me once again. Not helping cat. So we'll flip this thing back over, and now we can actually lift this up. Then we can see, let me fold this out of the way, we can actually see the mode select switch right here. And the cat is going to help me even more. I don't really think you're helping very much. I mean, I think you think you are, but you're really not. No, don't eat that, because I only have a couple spares. So let's go ahead and pop the mode select. There's a cat's tail. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh, she missed the chair. Anyhow, let's go ahead and pop the mode select switch open. And let me go ahead and get a good close-up zoom on this thing because it is absolutely filthy. All right, so I know it's a bit shaky, but I'm just kind of holding this by my hand. So yeah, that's what it looks like in the mode select switch. I want to see a bright, shiny surface. This is silver plated, and look at all the oxidation. So once again, I'll get my toothbrush. Once again, many people have asked me, where do you get a stainless toothbrush? Well, Harbor Freight Tools sells a brass, stainless, and a plastic toothbrush for I think like $3 or $4. Not that bad. So just go ahead and run down to Harbor Freight and grab some stainless toothbrushes and go ahead and do this. So I'm going to zoom out and we'll go ahead and clean this thing up and make it shiny once again. All right, so just go ahead and get your toothbrush in here and just scrub it around. Now this is a regular toothbrush that I've actually cut off, so it has many, many less bristles. It only has probably 3/4 of the original bristles that it had when it was new. And so you'll probably spend about a minute scrubbing this thing up and down, right and left, circular motions. You actually want to scuff this up really good because any defects in this surface is actually going to help clean the contacts as it rotates. I don't believe in a perfectly mirror smooth finish. I want it scuffed up a little bit because every movement actually scuffs the other contact. All right, well, certainly looks much better than when we started. Let's go ahead and hit it with some acetone and clean the stationary portion, and then we'll clean the movable portion as well. Okay, here we go, some acetone. Remember, once again, the acetone will not eat this kind of plastic. So you can go ahead and use a caustic chemical like acetone to clean this switch, and it's going to be absolutely fine. Now, once again, if you're doing a Samsung or a Sony VCR, do not use acetone. Use a much less harsh chemical like denatured alcohol, because on the Sonys, which are made by Samsung, it will eat the plastic. So take a look at that. Much better. Let's go ahead and clean the movable portion now. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to clamp this down with my thumbnail, and I'm going to just very, very gently bend these tabs up just a little bit, just like that, because I want a bit more contact. And then I'll just go ahead and scrub them with my toothbrush. One direction only. You don't want to go the other way because it will bend the contacts up. I just want to clean the tips of the contacts. I'm going to wipe them off with the same cotton swab that I used to clean the mode select switch. You can see how much gunk I got off there. Then we'll apply some silicone dielectric grease. Just a little droplet on the tips is all that you actually need, just like that. And this is regular silicone dielectric grease that can be obtained at most auto parts stores. I just want to go ahead and make sure that I cover every contact in here, because this actually prevents air from tarnishing the silver over time. So now let's go ahead and snap the two halves back together. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and run this around many, many times, because that's going to actually distribute the grease and make sure the contacts have great contact with the stationary portions. So you want to go ahead and do this at least 20 or 30 times in each direction. So when you're done, make sure that this circle that's actually printed on the circuit board lines up with the post right here, just like that. Because once you're done, there's going to be a center post in the mode select gear that goes through the middle of the mode select switch, and a separate hole in the mode select gear that this post must go through. So there is the center post that has to go through the center of the mode select switch, and then the actual post on the mode select switch has to go through this hole right there. Don't force it. Make sure it's perfectly aligned before you put it back together. So once you have it together, it should assemble very, very easily, just like that. Now remember, the coarse thread screw, like a wood screw, goes in this side under the ribbon cable. We'll just go ahead and tuck the ribbon cable over and fold it over like it was from the manufacturer, just like that. The machine thread screw goes in over here on this side. That's the fine thread screw. Okay, so only because I've had problems with these in the past, let's go ahead and clean the prism assembly. This is what distributes the infrared light through this little prism assembly right here, to the right, to the take-up sensor, to the left over here to the supply sensor, and down through the reel rotation sensor, where it alternately makes and breaks the light beam to determine if the tape is actually moving or not. So we'll go ahead and pull this one screw out of here, just like that. Take that one screw out. Then you can just simply lift the prism assembly out of the unit. All right, so let's go ahead and clean the prism right now. I have it out of the unit. So a cotton swab moistened with glass cleaner, not soaked, just moistened. We'll clean the entrance right here. This is the exit for the reel rotation detector right there. Always make sure that you clean this surface right here, because any obstruction will actually absorb the light and it will not reflect back into the reel rotation detector. So clean the center right here and the two outsides, which is what shines on the entrance and exit sensors to detect whether there's a tape in there. So that's all cleaned up and ready to go. Let's go ahead and clean the emitter and detector diodes now. The reel rotation detector and the entrance and exit or supply and take-up detectors. All right, so I removed a bunch of the cotton swab from the cotton swab because it will not fit down in this hole otherwise. This is the moistened end. I'm going to go ahead and clean the supply, the infrared emitter right here. And then I'll go ahead and stick it through that hole and clean the rear rotation detector. Now this is the dry end. I'm going to go ahead and stick it back through the hole and dry the rear rotation detector. And I want to go ahead and dry the emitter as well. Okay, so over here on the left side, you'll see Q1503. That is the supply sensor. That is a infrared receiver diode. Go ahead and wipe that off and then go ahead and dry off the tip of it. The body really doesn't matter. Q1504, that is the take-up sensor. Go ahead and clean that off as well and then dry it with the dry end. So that is what detects the clear leader of the tape, whether it be the supply end or the take-up end. So now that we've got the prism completely cleaned off, let's go ahead and reinstall the prism. We'll put the one screw back in it. There we go. So the VHS mechanism, except for being cleaned, is completely done. So I want to go ahead and service the power supply and check the DVD caps. Then I'll reassemble the whole thing, clean the DVD player, clean the VHS mechanism, and get it ready to ship back to my customer after I do a record test. So this looks just like the other power supplies out of the 427s or 457 machines. So what I normally do is flip this thing over, and you'll see this metal grounding tab right here. Go ahead and put a piece of tape over it, just like that. Otherwise, it's going to fall out when you pull the power supply board out, and you may not know where it goes. So 4 screws, we'll pull the power supply board off of the frame. There we go, set the frame out of the way, and now we can go ahead and change this one Suscon capacitor right here, 4700 microfarad, 6.3 volts, with a good quality Panasonic replacement cap. All right, power supply is done. Change that one problematic cap that always fails in these units with a good low ESR Panasonic capacitor. Let's go ahead and throw this thing back together and check the DVD caps, clean the DVD mechanism, clean the VHS mechanism, and get it ready to ship back to my customer. So remember, do not unplug this connector unless absolutely necessary. This provides electrostatic discharge protection for the optical pickup. So I'm just going to fold this back over here, just like that. So actually, this thing looks very clean, but I'm going to go ahead and clean it nevertheless. So I have a cotton swab just moistened with a regular household glass cleaner. I just want to go ahead and clean it with very gentle pressure and a circular motion. You never want to clean up and down. I want to rotate the cotton swab while I'm cleaning. And then the same thing on the dry end. Just dry it with very gentle circular motions. And it looks much better, much less dust. Now let's go ahead and check the DVD caps and make sure they're all within tolerance. So this is a much later version board, so I don't expect any problems whatsoever. So first off, a 100 microfarad, 0.48, 0.50, perfectly fine. Another 100, and 1 ohm, just a hair high, but I'm going to accept it. A 330, 0.28, perfectly fine. Another 330, 0.25, perfectly fine. 330, 0.5, I'm okay with that. 330, 0.2, okay. Another 330.2 ohms, and another 330 at 0.2 ohms, perfectly fine. 330.28, perfectly fine. And a 47, 2 ohms, I'm good with 2 ohms. 100, 1 ohm, perfectly fine. 220 should be about 3/4 of an ohm. Oh, 0.26, even better. A 330, 0.7 ohms, just a hair high, but I'm okay with that. If it was much over 1.5 ohms, I'd have a problem. A 47, 0.2 ohms, great. 0.3 ohms, great on another 47. 2 ohms on a 47, that's okay. 2 ohms on a 47, okay. 1.8, okay. And 2 ohms. I'm perfectly fine with every capacitor on this board. None of them are really out of tolerance. So let's go ahead and slap this thing back together and get it ready. We'll do a DVD recording test and we'll move on from there. Okay, so I have the unit ready. Let's go ahead and go into setup and we'll go into general settings. I'm using the customer's remote. So let's go ahead and set the clock. So it is currently September. I should have went backwards. September 2nd at 3:57 in the morning, 2021. I definitely got to go backwards on this one. Okay, clock is set. So let's go ahead and set these up. Auto chapter every 5 minutes. Auto finalize when the disk is full. Dubbing mode, make sure it's in VCR to DVD dubbing. Make recording compatible, on. Okay, so let's go ahead and close the drawer. I have a blank DVD-R. Let's make sure it reads the disk and it reports back that it is a blank disk. And it certainly did. Let's go ahead and change the record speed to make sure it is set at 1 hour because the tape I have in here has about 58 minutes of video on it. So let's go ahead and switch it back over to the VCR mode. I'll pop the tape in it and then I will press the dubbing button on the front of the unit. There we go, dubbing. And so it should copy this tape over to the DVD, and if everything goes well, we'll check back in just over an hour and we'll have a final copy. Okay, here we go. The disc has been recorded. I do not believe it's finalized yet because the source tape was not long enough to complete the timer recording action. So let's go ahead and let it load. Okay, and it did load up and it does show that it recorded 1 hour and 2 minutes on September 2nd, 2021 at 4:53 a.m. And then it has 2 minutes and 27 seconds left as an empty title. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the stop button, and I'm using the customer's remote, the one that he questioned went with this unit. So I'm going to go into setup. I'm going to go down to disk edit. And I'm going to go ahead and finalize the disk. Okay, and everything looks good. The disk did finalize successfully. I'm going to go ahead and open the drawer. And we'll close the drawer once again, let it load the disk. Then I'm going to go back into the menu and see if disk edit is still active or if it's grayed out. Okay, it certainly did load the disk, no problem. So I'm going to go ahead and hit stop. I'm going to go into the setup, and disk edit is indeed grayed out. So let's get back out of that, and we'll go ahead and hit play. And it should show a video of a cruise I took back in the 2000s. There it is. Anyhow, working perfect. It recorded the disk, it finalized the disk. Everything is excellent. Well, that's it. The repair of the Magnavox ZV450MW8. I certainly hope you enjoyed the repair on the Magnavox DVD VCR combo. Go ahead and leave me a question, a comment, a concern down below. I try to respond to the comments when I have time. While you're down there, hit that subscribe button and like this video. It really does help my channel grow. You can follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at NorCal715. You can email me norcal715videos@gmail.com. That is the best way to contact me. Please be patient. I do have a full-time job and do this in my spare time. Remember, with your help, we can try to keep these things out of the landfill, out of the recycle bin, and out of the e-waste facility. Everybody, thank you for making it to the end of this video. I really do appreciate it. Everyone have a great day. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. Okay, so I have the unit all packed up and ready to go. And so inside this little green pouch is the remote wrapped in its own bubble wrap, and then the VCR is wrapped in multiple layers of bubble wrap. And as you can see, that is the top of the unit, and then there is the bottom of the unit right there. So we'll go ahead and place it back in the box. Try to do this all one-handed. And so it just fits very nicely in the box. And as you close the lids, it's going to apply a little bit of extra pressure to the unit. So I'll have to tape it extra tight. But anyhow, that is how I'm going to ship the unit back, just to prevent any kind of damage. I always put a packing list in the box with my address, my phone number, my email, as well as the customer's phone number, address, and email, just in case something should get lost. So anyhow, unit is repaired, ready to be shipped back. You just got to weigh it and price the shipping and get it on its way.